state's transportation policy is a road to nowhere, or perhaps I should say a traffic jam to nowhere. Transportation accounts for our major reliance on foreign oil. Transportation right now makes up almost 1/4 of Colorado's greenhouse gas emissions, and the problem's getting worse. Since 1980, the number of miles that Americans drive has increased 3 times the rate of population growth, and Colorado is in the top 3 for the growth rate on vehicle miles traveled. And one of the results of this is that the average American every year spends 38 hours, that's almost a full work week, stuck in traffic. Another discouraging result is that transportation has now become the second biggest expense for the average household, eclipsing even health care, right behind housing. Not only is our existing transportation system not meeting our mobility needs, our current funding mechanism, the gas tax, is no longer generating adequate revenue to keep up with the basic maintenance needs of our state's transportation system, fueling a multi-billion-dollar safety backlog for Colorado's roads, bridges, pedestrian walkways, bike paths, and transit connections. Obviously, tackling Colorado's transportation challenges is critical to the health of our planet, our energy security, our economic prosperity, and our quality of life. As you all know, the governor appointed a blue ribbon panel back in 2007 to provide recommendations on how the state should address this incredible transportation funding shortfall. And we anticipate that this process is going to result in a major transportation funding bill that will be introduced shortly by Senator Gibbs and Representative Rice. The conservation community wants to see any new funding for transportation go to build the modern transportation system that Coloradans need and want. In the past, the focus has been on ever-expanding highways and additional road lanes. What has this gotten us? Non-attainment for ozone, increased global warming challenges, more traffic, and increased reliance on foreign governments for our oil needs. We need a 21st century transportation system that includes light rail, trains, bus rapid transit, pedestrian walkways, where people can get to where they need to go without being totally reliant on cars or being held hostage to the volatile and ever-increasing prices of gasoline. So as a result, the conservation community will be focused this session on ensuring that any transportation funding legislation, 1, contains significant new funding for transit and other multimodal choices, and 2, sends price signals that incentivize people to drive less and use alternative transportation whenever possible. We're also encouraging Colorado to pilot innovative new ideas and technologies that will encourage longer-term reductions in the number of miles we travel each year. And to be sure, we're having the same conversation with Colorado's congressional delegation as Congress debates its federal economic stimulus package that may send as much as $150 billion to states for clean energy and transit projects. Investing in transit and a modern multimodal transportation system is an economic no-brainer. We need a transportation system that helps rebuild our economy in a way that solves our long-term energy and transportation challenges. One that gives us more jobs, more transportation choices, and more energy security, and gives us less ozone, less global warming, and less traffic congestion. Colorado's new energy future must include a faster, cleaner, greener transportation system. It's critical for the health of our economy and for our environment. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Michael Freeman from Justice, who will talk about oil and gas issues.
Thank you, Elise. As Elise said, my name is Michael Freeman. I'm with Earth Justice, and I'm here to address the oil and gas rules, which will be one of the conservation community's priorities this session in front of the legislature. Since 1997, Colorado has experienced an unprecedented boom in oil and gas development. In the 10 years between 1997 and 2007, the number of drilling permits for oil and gas wells increased by more than 600%. By 2007, Colorado's Oil and Gas Conservation Commission was issuing an average of 27 drilling permits every business day. This development has had a huge impact on Colorado's communities, our air and water, and on our economy. In 2007, with broad bipartisan support, the legislature responded by directing the Oil and Gas Conservation Commission to update its rules to account for this new reality. Following the legislature's direction, the Commission in December 2008 adopted important new protections for water, air quality, public health, and wildlife. For example, the Commission adopted new protections for public drinking water supplies. While we all take clean drinking water for granted, the water rights and the infrastructure that provide it could cost hundreds of millions of dollars to replace. The new protections help ensure that those supplies will not be fouled by petroleum and chemical spills from gas wells. The Commission also required companies to keep an inventory of the chemicals they're using so that doctors and public health officials can respond appropriately and quickly when spills and accidents do happen. The changes also provide for oil and gas companies to consult with the State Division of Wildlife to identify ways to minimize adverse impacts to elk, trout, deer, and other species. These wildlife protections are critical to ensuring that Colorado's hunting and fishing economy can coexist with oil and gas development. Colorado is now nationally recognized for our efforts to ensure that oil and gas development here grows in a manner that doesn't harm the long-term health of local communities and economies, and that protects the features that make this state unique. Ultimately, the Commission adopted balanced, common-sense protections for our air, water, and wildlife. These provisions will help ensure that our state's outdoor recreation economy, along with the wildlife and natural resources on which those businesses depend, are protected. We don't need to choose between jobs and the environment. Protecting Colorado's air, water, and natural beauty is good for the economy. The Commission worked very hard to ensure that these updated protections won't harm the oil and gas industry. It held months of hearings and meetings with companies and other stakeholders that lasted throughout all of 2008. The Commission heard testimony from 160 witnesses and considered thousands of pages of written submission, most of which was offered by the oil and gas industry. The Commission then deliberated for 11 days on these new rules before finalizing them with a unanimous vote last month. The industry knows that these new protections are workable and balanced. Many of the changes that the Commission ultimately adopted, in fact, are actually based on proposals that some of the companies offered who operate in Colorado. Companies are already making, in fact, the necessary adjustments to continue thriving under the new rules. For example, as many as 20 companies right now are already developing comprehensive drilling plans, which is a new innovation that was offered by the Commission as a mechanism for complying with the rules in a cost-effective way. There's no reason the industry can't continue to work effectively and cost-efficiently to implement these new protections and to continue thriving in Colorado. We would urge the legislature to support the updated rules, which in the end will help protect the foundation of Colorado's long-term economic future. Thank you.
Okay.